Hello, welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. Today we're going to be doing the Pacific Division previews. Check down below for the written version of it. And just ignore the fact that I can't speak words. On to the video! So we're going to start it off with the LA Kings coming off of another kind of disappointing year. They, two-time Cup winners in the early 2000s. I'm sorry, the early 2010s. And now it's kind of hit a standstill. You kind of get to that point where the contracts to older players that you gave out in kind of the honeymoon phase of the Stanley Cup are coming back to bite the team. Some of them are still actually providing. Dustin Brown actually had a pretty decent year last year, even though, a lot of money he's making and he's in his 30s. Drew Doughty is making an absolute metric stuff ton of money because you got to keep it monetized. He's making a lot of money. So that's it. No. So I think the Kings were 30th in scoring last year. They have not done anything to improve that. And defensively, they'll probably be stingy-ish. Depends, Jonathan Quick in goal is getting up there. He's one of those, older vets that's also not living up to contracts. So I've seen whispers about him possibly being traded during the year. I even wrote that in the article because I think Jack Campbell could end up starting, and Cal Peterson is also there. So might want to get out from under that contract, which you could say for a lot of players on this team. But they're slow, they're sluggish. Drew Doughty's angry that they're still as bad as they are, but I don't think it's getting any better this year. So we're going to move on to the 7th team, the Edmonton Oilers, who right now have 2 good players on their team. Next, we're going to go to the Anaheim Ducks. We have a decent top line here. We have a lot of young scorers coming in. We have Ricard Raquel on the top line. We have Getzlaf adding some veteran influence. Andre Kasha, if he doesn't get traded for Justin Falk, good, as long as he's healthy, but that's a big if. Jakob Silfverberg, Adam Henrique, Maxime Comtois, who's one of my favorite names in the league, for obvious reasons. The young guys, Comtois, Jones, Troy Terry, we have Daniel Sprong is still kind of a young guy, Richie. There's a lot of guys with potential in this lineup offensively. Defensively is not terrible either. Offensively, last year they were the worst scoring team in the league. I think we get a bump up in that. You get a lot of young players that a lot of chutzpah. They have a lot of energy. And I think, with the veteran leadership of Getzlaf, they don't have Perry anymore, but I don't think they really needed him with Silfverberg and Kasha on the right. So, the kids, kind of like Ottawa, the kids get to play, but there's a better structure in place. You have a better goaltending situation. John Gibson's one of the best goalies in the league. And pretty decent team. Defensively, very stingy. Offensively, I kind of think of them as kind of like an Islanders light, where, the Islanders last year, the offense wasn't there. The defense was fantastic. This is more of an extreme situation of that, where the Islanders at least could get the goals when they needed them, and Anaheim could not buy a goal. So it's a step in the right direction, I think, this year. And they're going the right way. The rebuild is moving. They should be pretty good in a few years as long as these guys pan out. And John Gibson's, keeps doing what he's doing. All right, so next we're going to go to 5th. It does kind of hurt to put Vancouver here, because Vancouver has been going through this rebuild that I've been watching from a distance and really admiring. You get guys like Besser, and you get Pedersen, you get Thatcher Demko in goal. So there's a lot of young, so much talent with those young players, and they got them at good most of them at good values. So now it's a matter of, you would think just keep the rebuild going, a lot like the Ducks, except further along, because now you have a Rookie of the Year on your roster. But I think in trying to save his job, which, to be fair to him, of course you would do that, Jim Benning has accelerated the rebuild because ownership is breathing down his neck. And now you see some contracts that probably, I guess win now contracts, but just, I'm not a big fan. Tyler Myers is a decent player. He gets overpaid. And, offensively, they could be pretty good again. If they get Besser signed, Besser could score 40 goals. And Pettersson, fantastic playmaker, looked amazing in his first year, very Barzal-esque. And you get JT Miller in, you lose a first rounder. That's where the pressure comes in. Now there's not a lot of places to go. There's not a lot of fallback. It's a lot of pressure to win now. And we'll see. Defensively, I don't know if there's enough there still. I think they have Tanev still there, and Ulevi is still borderline. So they're an okay team with a good goaltending situation. I'll give them that. Markstrom last year played really well, and Thatcher Demko right behind him. Decent team. I kind of see them very similar to the Canadiens, just outside. Kind of sucks to say, too, because I think I like the way they've done their rebuild. But, I don't know. Bottom six is kind of mediocre. We'll see, though. Maybe. At 4, we have the Coyotes. I'm really excited for Phil Kessel and a Kachina jersey, because that's going to be sexy as hell. Amazing defensive team. Struggling in offense. Last year had 1 billion injuries. You remedy that a little bit with Phil Kessel. That should be really interesting to watch. It's kind of like, does he want to be there? He's got his coach. He's got Rick Tocchet there, so you would think he could get the best out of him. At times in his career, it's felt like Phil Kessel, maybe there's a lack of motivation. And maybe that's just like a misnomer because the press likes to beat him down, and he's a good player. He knows how to score. I think his point production goes down a little bit because, he was playing in Pittsburgh with really good players. And I know you're going to say, he was on the third line at times. And you know what? That's fair. That's very fair. I think in Arizona, maybe the structure of the play is different, though. That would be my retort. The structure of the play is different, more defensive. They are going to really play from the back out. I really like them because I love Schmaltz as a playmaker. Stepan, I'm not sure about at this point in his career. Keller should see a resurgence playing with Kessel, but I don't know. I'd feel a lot better if they still had Dylan Strome and if he was playing the way he has been for Chicago. And I guess Perlini, they don't miss a ton. But Grabner, Grabner's going to be an important part of this team because he might have to play second line minutes. He's going to have to provide scoring. It feels like at points in his career, whenever he's needed to score points, he doesn't. And when he's in a less of a pressure situation, he scores. So we'll see. I love Grabner too. But in goal, pretty solid with Kemper and Ranta. So, it's not too dissimilar from the Ducks in that a lot of defensive play, scoring, meh. They have a good infrastructure to the team. They have good goaltending. That's about it. They have good defensemen. Hjalmarsson is great. They have Ekman Larsson, of course, produces points and plays defense very well. And we'll see. Chychrun, another year of progress. But yeah, I have them just outside the playoffs. The Central is just that good. I have 5 teams in the Central in. So unfortunately, I think I have the Coyotes just outside once again. So that leads us to the playoff teams. At number 3, we have the San Jose Referees. Oh wait, the Sharks. I'm not going to forget that playoff. I'm frustrated. I'm very salty about that run because I felt that Vegas was the better team in that series. You could fairly argue that Vegas choked. At the same time, it's not a 5-minute penalty. It's not a major. But you know what? You have to kill those penalties. So whatever. But it felt like the Sharks were on this run. Didn't feel sustainable to me because Martin Jones looked awful. And bad goaltending in the playoffs usually sinks you in the first round. So maybe I'm just being salty because I like to see good goaltending in the playoffs. But the Sharks still have a lot of high-end talent that's going to buoy the fact that Erik Karlsson's eating so much cap that the bottom 6 is kind of mediocre now. I think losing Donskoy is a bigger thing that a lot of people are going to talk about. Timo Meier, team-friendly contract. He'll be great. No more Pavelski, so that's a problem. Sorry.
That's staying in.
Yeah.
That's staying in.
Who else do we have? We have Evander Kane probably needs to produce a little bit more because of his contract. And they'll probably be okay down the middle. Even losing Pavelski, you have... I almost said Donskoy. You don't have Donskoy. I just said you lost Donskoy. So you have down the middle, you still have Couture, the new captain, who's fantastic, especially come playoff time. And you have Tomas Hertl. That's his name. He's good. No, so the top six, not going to miss much scoring-wise. Pavelski will be missed a little bit, but the depth, the bottom six is where they could have an issue. They have newcomers coming in, prospects coming in that are going to need to produce. And, yeah, I just think, unfortunately, that's the cost of paying Karlsson as much as they did. And now they're paying Karlsson and Burns. They've gotten rid of Braun, so that's good for the cap situation. Defensively, it'll be interesting to see, though. They're kind of going on the fly. Doug Wilson's been one of the best GMs in the league over the last few years. So, we'll see. I think that the reason I almost had the Coyotes leapfrogging them is I don't know how much faith I have in Martin Jones right now. He looked terrible last year, and Dell wasn't a ton better. So, yeah, I put a premium on goaltending, and unfortunately, I think they're just okay there. So, yeah, the Sharks, high-end talent buoys them into the playoffs. Probably, I don't think a deep run, though. So we'll go to number 2 now. We have last year's surprise team of the West, the Calgary Flames, who won the West and then immediately lost to the 8 seed. The Flames still bring back most of their players. Tkachuk still needs to be signed at the time of filming this video. But if they get Tkachuk, and Marner just got signed, so you would think that kind of gets the rest of the RFAs going. Tkachuk's fantastic. Gaudreau, fantastic. Sean Monahan's one of the most underrated players in the league. They need more from Sam Bennett, once again, on the bottom 6 or top 9. Mangiapane showed a lot of progress last year. He could be an underrated third-line sniper. Goaltending is my biggest issue. Rittich looked like he got tired at points, and Mike Smith had to take over. Mike Smith was their best player in the playoffs. That's not saying much because they were terrible in the playoffs. This is going to be a big year for the goaltending to hopefully stabilize a little bit because you have Talbot coming in. I don't know if that's any upgrade at the backup position. So if Rittich fails, or not fails, but doesn't play as well as last year, and you have Talbot having to support him, and if Talbot's terrible, they're in a lot of trouble. So they could fall a little bit. It really depends on how much the Coyotes progress this year and if the Sharks' top-end talent boos them. But I think there's enough structure there from last year. They made enough progress there last year to at least hold a playoff spot right now. So that's going to bring us to the division winners. In first place, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. They basically have 2 first lines. They're going to score a lot this year. I'm really excited to watch them. William Karlsson back on a very nice contract, headlining the first line with Mark Stone and Jonathan Marchessault, which is fantastic. They get Pacioretty with Stastny and Tuck. And Tuck took a little bit of a step back last year, but him and Smith can Riley Smith can, ride the hot hand over there. Peary showed a lot of not progress. He's been around the league a little bit, but he showed a lot of fight last year on that third line. He could be a very nice little piece there. The bottom line, you get Glass, Nosek, Reeves. Glass could maybe get the third line. Eakin can drop if they want Glass to get top 9 minutes, but pretty good team. Really deep forward core. So on defense, it's not the big names of the forward group, but you have Nate Schmidt, one of the most underrated defenders in the league right now. Braden McNabb has been doing his job very well. Shea Theodore continues to progress. John Merrill is a good, borderline top 4, top 6 guy. If they're able to add to the defense, they can drop to the top 6 on the left side with Derek England on the right, and it's looking pretty good. I guess the only question outside of maybe that bottom pair defensively right now would be the backup goaltending. Malcolm Subban needs to have a good year because Fleury is getting older. He's going to need some support back there, and it's like I've been saying with most of these teams, in the regular season, you don't want to run over your goalie with the amount of playing time that he has, because you want to be ready for the playoffs. I think to an extent, maybe it happened with Vasilevsky last year. Murray wasn't bad against the Islanders. Hellebuck looked a little bit toasted. You really, really got to figure a rotation out that can make sure you get, especially if you have an older goalie like Fleury, get him to the playoffs without exhausting him. And Subban's going to need to play better so that they can get to that point that they feel comfortable swapping them out every once in a while. That's the Pacific Division. Of course, let me just put the line there. We got 3 teams making the playoffs from this division. We have 5 from the Central. And if we could have, I might have put 6 from the Central. That's how much I like the Central. A couple of rebuilding teams and the Oilers. So that's it for the Pacific Division. If you're one of those people, once again, that doesn't want the context and just wants this is my summary, like and subscribe. Look down below for the written version of this. And also give me a comment, give me some feedback.
You suck!
Not that type. So all right, thank you, and have a good one.